I hate you. I hate you. You touched this whole thing. You touched
Art.
This was an
Absolute
experience.
art.
this whole friggin'
Oh, I used a
like how-
translator.
You
I used a
freaking-
Last minute.
My mouth hurts. Oh, God. Hello, everyone. If you are wondering why we are late, my husband decided to make popcorn because he is
Daddy HUNKRAT.
He is saying, oh, Daddy HUNKRAT, he is ready for some bad fan fiction. This is one of Teeth Whitener's favorite things. I don't know if y'all are ready for the disgusting glee he will take in what he writes, in what he reads, not what he's written. We are going to be calling staff. We did this back when we, how many followers were there? 200?
One.
It wasn't one follower, you little tit. It wasn't two. We've done this before at 200 followers. And I was like, oh, I'll tell you what, next time we do this, because it was so horrendous and hilarious, we'll make it 1,000 followers. And now we're at 2,000, and I totally forgot to celebrate. So it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna join in staff, and we're gonna talk to them, and we're gonna read some interesting stories, and the top 3 voted on by staff are going to get a Steam gift card. Demonetized! Thank you! Oh no! Oh no, it's a hype train! No, I'm not ready! No! No! I'm not ready for the train! Alright, let's go ahead and talk to staff and get this rolling. Here we go. I'm scared. Hello?
Oh, darn it.
What?
He's here too soon.
What?
No, leave.
Do I need to leave? Okay,
You have to
okay,
leave.
I'll leave. Oh god. Why did they just make me leave? Scrubs, thank you for the bits. What? Scrubs! Why did they kick me out? What the heck? What are they working on? Oh no. Teeth Whitener, what are they working on? Why did they kick me out?
I honestly don't know.
I'm scared, honey. Why did they kick me out? My nipple says I'll tell you when you can come in. What, are you guys getting dressed or something? What? The council says it's not yet time. Yeah, people are like, go Psyche, it's your own stream. You can join. Join? Okay. But really, it's theirs. Not gonna lie, I'm scared. Okay, here we go. We're gonna join.
I hope Daddy likes
there.
You think you can help me? Only 7 inches long. Ooh, please adopt me.
I'm not streaming anymore. I've come to the realization that my life is worth more than whatever I just heard. I am so sorry that now we announce at so many viewers that I'm done, but this is my official retirement speech. It's only gonna get worse. Hello?
I'm sorry we had to do that to you.
Hey.
You guys are the worst. You
No.
guys are the absolute freaking...
Why?
You know
Will you adopt us? If it makes you
no.
feel better, that's nothing compared to what's coming.
What? All right, here's the joke. What human body part is long, hard, bendable, and contains the letters P-E-N-I-S? Your spine. Heck you.
Did you mean your spleen?
Frick
Yeah,
you!
explain there.
For those of you who weren't here for the Jackbox event,
McWee-wee.
I don't know
somebody's
things.
McWee-wee.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're gonna do a little roll call. That's a good idea, Costco. I'm going to introduce you to each of our members of staff. So it's like the first day of school. Say your name and
that's one of
why
them.
you regret everything.
I'm Autumn. I have the list, and thus I have read all of these.
I'm fine. I manage the booties. I keep Psyche sane. That's all you need to know.
I'm Swampy. That's all.
You just say
I'm Swampy. That's all.
Present.
you can be like, I designed our first ever emote. Hello.
And the sub badges.
I'm Gil. I'm the one that tries to push Psyche to insanity, so I'm the opposite of Violent.
I am Outburst, and I break things. That's all you need to know.
No, Outburst
Your nickname
fixes
says
everything.
otherwise.
He also fixes things.
He
There is-
keeps us running.
I'm Arun. I am
Baby.
the smallest of the mods.
Baby.
The smallest
Yeah,
of
that's it.
the-
I'm
Not
just
you.
the small.
Baby.
I'm South. I encourage the cursed some days.
And you take care of the bot.
Oh yeah, and I also do the bot.
I'm Night Owl. I'm the one that does all the videos.
Yeah, I'm Tooth Biter. I eat popcorn and I don't have a choice in what I do.
That's a good way to describe it.
Oh,
Don't make them
they're
sad.
asking we do Oddlings first. I think Oddling has to leave.
Oddling has requested you read that. As an intro, most of you have read this book and some of you have seen the movie. And Oddling has done a very good job of capturing it. And I feel like, Psyche, why don't you take it away?
This first one is by Oddling, and it is called Mod Farm. Oh no. It was a sunny morning on Twitch Farm. Today was like every other day. Psyche woke up and got out of bed at dawn. No. She poured her coffee and buttered her toast. Today was normal. Psyche finished her morning routine, including her daily tweet. Before heading out to the yard, her loyal pet and trusty farmhand Teeth Whitener ran up to her, barking excitingly. When she exited the house, she smiled and pat him on the head. Come on, Teeth, let's go get the farm up and running. He yapped in response. Is Teeth Whitener a dog? Oh my god. And they headed off towards the barn. She loved her barn. She even referred to it as her super lovely old barn site, or slobs for short. But while they were getting ready to start their day, the animals had other plans. Out in the stables, an elaborate plan was being enacted. The pigs stood on a large crate in the middle of the room. There were 7 of them. Autumn, Funk Frog, Outburst, South, Tequila, Arun, and Vine. And they had been planning this for a very long time. All the other animals stared raptly as the pigs spoke of their plan. They had all the brains, after all. Most of the other animals on the farm lacked many of the skills the pigs had. Today is the day we are freed, Autumn says, and the crowd cheers. But we must all work together for this to work, Vine reminds everyone. Does everyone know their roles? Outburst asks, and everyone else responds with nodding and various mutterings of what they all know they need to do for the plan to unfold perfectly. The pigs all look at each other and nod. We're ready, South decides. This plan had been a year in the making. Everyone on the farm was tired of Psyche's rule, and it was time they did something about it. The pigs, having the most power over the farm compared to the other animals, became the leaders of the group, organizing the plan for everyone else to follow. It had taken much planning on the pigs' part. They slowly started taking on more roles on the farm, so the pieces of the plan could be set up over a long period and keep Psyche or Teeth from becoming suspicious. As Psyche exited the barn with Teeth, the plan was set into motion. All the animals, except the pigs, ran up to Psyche and Teeth, surrounding them in a large circle. In unison, they all began to scream ooh woo, and bad puns thoroughly occupying her as she tried to make them all stop. When she was occupied by the cacophony of animals, the pigs began their portion of the plan. What's happening? I'm fine. They lowered a large tube over Psyche and Teeth, and when they were standing close enough together, they let it drop. They were trapped, and that's when they had to work quickly. The pigs began dumping bags of pears into the tube, while all the other animals began gently pushing the tube around. Eventually, Psyche and Teeth were both fully encased in the pear wiggler. Frickin' no! I love that Teeth Whitener's in chat saying, "What did I do? What did I do?" The animals worked as a team and slowly wiggled Psyche and Teeth over to a metal plate that closed off from the bottom of the tube. This is very well thought out. I don't like that. The pigs then lowered another metal plate to close the top. Then, with everyone working in unison, they tipped the tube over and rolled it down the hill into the distance. As they watched their fallen leaders disappear over the horizon, everyone looked at each other. They were so caught up in the plan to remove their evil leaders that they never considered what they would do after they succeeded. The pigs stepped forward. Listen up, Arun calls, catching up everyone's attention. Since us pigs already do most of the work around here, Arun, how could you do this to me? We will be stepping up as the leaders, Tequila announces. All the other animals look at each other, feeling unsure. But before they could get too worried, the pigs began speaking again. We will be writing the new rules up on the barn wall. These rules will make sure we're never oppressed again, Funk Frog said. The other animals felt like they couldn't really argue with that, since it sounded like a good idea. But we can't read, Oddling spoke up. The others nodded. That's why we will read it to everyone tomorrow morning, Vine says. Everyone still looked a bit unsure, but the pigs had gotten them this far, so they felt like they could be trusted. The next morning, the back barn wall had been painted over with the new rules. Uwu freely, be as cursed as one wishes, and no one shall be put in the pear wiggler. The pigs read this out to the others, and everyone agreed that these were simple and reasonable rules to follow. Since the pigs had come into power, everything seemed to be running smoothly. Every day they followed a routine, and everything always happened on time. The animals liked this. New animals weren't coming to the farm as often, or they wouldn't stay as long, but that was okay too. They were happy how they were. The pigs being in charge was a good thing. They were even more skilled. Listen here. They were even more skilled at many tasks compared to Psyche and Teeth. How dare you? But something was off. It had been a few months since the other animals were first told the rules, but they couldn't help feeling something was off about them. They remembered there being no restriction on the use of Uwu, but the past few weeks the pigs had begun growing angry with those who used it. Maybe they were just remembering wrong. Things continued to change on the farm. It had been 6 months since Psyche and Teeth had been banished. Oh, I'm glad I got banished and I didn't die. I was very confused on that part. Things were still good. But the animals were noticing differences. At least they thought they weren't always this way. Last week, one of the animals had spoken out against the pigs, and they were put into the wiggler for a whole minute. And the past few days, the pigs had begun to get lazy. They moved into the farmhouse, stating it was crucial as their new status as leaders. But since that happened, the schedule started to get less strict. The animals mentioned this, and the pigs just told them that they knew perfectly well when things should be happening on the farm. The animals were hesitant, but agreed again. Things came to a head on the 1-year mark of the banishing of Psyche and Teeth. Owl had brought up concerns with some of the changes that had been happening and suggested maybe a few animals should be appointed to represent the rest of the animals' wishes and mediate between the other animals and pigs before changes were made. That day, a large dark van showed up, and Owl was ushered into it while excitingly talking to the pigs. But when the doors closed, the other animals realized what was happening. Owl wasn't being sent to create an animal mediation council. She was being sent to the Banhammer Company. Owl was going to die. What? Oh my god. The other animals tried to tell Owl to escape, but none of them could catch up with the van enough to be heard. After that incident, none of the other animals wanted to speak out. But Oddling Daddy HUNKRAT
said, Daddy HUNKRAT.
Thank you so much, Mind. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. After that incident, none of the other animals wanted to speak out, but Oddling was becoming certain that the rules on the back of the barn had changed, and he realized that there was, in fact, someone who would be able to tell him what it said. Scrubs was lazing under a tree when Oddling approached. "I need you to read the rules in the barn," Oddling stated. "I can't read. No one except the pigs can," Scrubs said, looking a bit disgruntled. "And I know you and Autumn were real close before all the pigs started running the show. You can read, come on!" Oddling grumbled, not wanting to play these games. Scrubs sighed and got up. "Fine, but the pigs can't know it was me," Scrubs states, looking back at Oddling. He nods. "Of course," he says confidently. They make their way towards the barn and make sure no one is around, especially any pigs, before ducking inside. On the wall, the text now said, "Uwu is not tolerated. Pearwiggler for all those who are cursed. Traitors shall be banned." Things had changed, and it wasn't good. That night, the pigs invited some other streamers onto the farm, and as the animals watched through the window, they realized they could barely tell the pigs apart from everyone else. They were just like Psyche. And that's how it freaking ends! Oh my god! This is one of the freaking... I'm okay.
No,
I'm
it is
fine.
the
Are
good
you,
one.
you're not okay.
No, I'm fine. Costco
Teeth, get
says,
the wine.
compared
Teeth,
to
get the
mine,
wine.
it's pretty tame.
Mm,
No!
true.
Someone can read the next one because I need to think.
My brain's fried.
I need to go get some grape juice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I figured tonight would be the grape juice night.
Is tonight the night you drink the grape juice?
Yeah, tonight's gonna be the night. It's my last bottle of wine.
I can
It's
read.
a good night.
Psyche, I can pass you the rum.
I'm just gonna give a little
can
applause
also
for
have
Oddling.
Yay, good job, Oddling.
Good job, Oddling.
Oddly.
Yay.
That was-
Staff is proud of you.
It was really well written.
It was very well written. Owl, I'm sorry you got murdered.
Yeah, sorry. The
I told
newest
Oddling to
member.
do it.
You told Oddling to.
Yeah, Oddling mentioned it in chat a while ago, and I was like, "Oh yeah, sign me up for death. Okay, cool."
You would. Our editor would be the one saying, "Kill me."
That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
that's how it goes, huh?
So what do we want to do next?
Volunteers.
I can read an important story about the lore of the channel.
Oh, you have one?
What?
Wait.
Yeah,
Teeth
it's a story about the discovery of Bonzo.
Oh yeah. Let's do it. Yes.
No,
what do you
no,
want?
bring Bonzo back. Tell me.
Please.
Yes.
I'm getting the
Bonzo
wine.
back.
Y'all talk to people. I'm getting a drink.
With these Knuckles or my immortal teeth?
Knuckles, this is the fox power.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah, teeth take the floor.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with channel history, basically, there's a command that summons the god of this channel, whose name is Bonzo. He is holy. He is above all, and it originates the first mention of Bonzo in historical text was actually a reference to him in a recovered fragment from somebody who was attempting to translate a Sonic the Hedgehog text. So, I will read you a fragment of it. It was written by one Peter Chimaera, a legend of the bad fic category of fanfiction.
Peter, suck my dick.
Okay. It is titled Knuckles This is the fox power. So if you hear me mispronounce something while I'm doing this, it's because it's the way it's written. Here we go.
No.
Knuckles, Chapter 4. Knuckles vs. the fox power. Knuckles vs. the fox power. Knuckles was sitting on the broke tree branch where when Tails came, but not really Tails, came to see him. Knuckles, we need your help, oh, he said. The fox said with an inquiring speech. What's wrong, Tails? Hold on, you are not Tails. He looked, and Tails had only one tail, so he did not have two tails. No, I am Shadow, but Enerjax turned me into a fox. How can that be? Enerjax discovered an new Chaos Emerald. Now there are 12. And he is using his power to turn all the animals into foxes. This is bad news. I have to help, but I will not ask Sonic for help. Knuckles trained at the forest until he was ready. I am ready. When he found Enerjax, Chapter 2, look out, Knuckles! Knuckles arrived at the Emerald Hills, but found that Enerjax was not there, but in Green Hill Zone. So Knuckles went there instead. It took him 30 minutes because he was tired. Enerjax tried to turn Knuckles into a fox too, but Knuckles was smart and jumped around Enerjax's power. Knuckles punched him. Enerjax blocked it. And then Knuckles punched him again. Very clever, Mr. Knuckles. And Enerjax went to laugh, but that opened up the opportunity for Knuckles, and Knuckles threw his hardest punch that made Enerjax split in half, but it was his power that did it, and he turned into two Enerjaxes. I forgot you had the power to turn into two Enerjaxes. No, you can remember to die, Knuckles. So Knuckles used his power of Create Portal that created portal between the two Enerjaxes and sucked them into each other. Oh, Bonzo! And he exploded into himself, each other, and fell into guts all over the Green Hills. Time to dynamite our great victory! Knuckles posed himself, and they were all happy for the end of that mischief. All the foxes turned back into their other animals, except one was still a fox. What happened? Is the magic still working on your... No, said the fox. The fox said, I am Star Fox. And Star Fox flew away in his R-Wing. Sonic showed up at just that time. You saved all the animals without me. Knuckles laughed. Ha ha ha. You are too slow this time, you effing. The end.
And so it is written. Amen.
So it is written in the holy text.
So it is written.
No, I hate this.
The Church of the Eternal Bonzo will protect
Oh,
forever.
Bonzo, my Bonzo.
I
Oh,
hate
Bonzo, my Bonzo.
all of
Bonzo,
you
my bonzo.
for
Bonzo, my
freaking
Bonzo.
enabling.
Bonzo, my Bonzo.
Oh, Bonzo, my Bonzo.
No. Get those
Bonzo.
amens out of chat. Get that out of here.
Amen.
No.
Can I get an amen?
Amen, my children.
No. So who would like to read the next one?
I have so many.
If-
Yes.
If there's not a designated reader, I'm down to read one.
Okay, let me see what we got for you.
Autumn peruses the library of cursed things.
I got so much. It's like
Autumn is the keeper.
Like Ollivander with a wand. Oh, this could suit you well.
Yes, this one fits you. One of our favorite D&D friends, and our most fuzzy bugbear, Monday.
Did Pixie write this?
Sent us something so blessed that I feel like we all need together.
It's called, it's just called FanFiction Night. The candle flickered, casting a grotesque shadows against the masonry, throwing only those closest to it into sharp relief. The inner circle consisted of varied punch, their features distorted by the wavering light, but a singular purpose united them. Wearing glasses, so
Who wears
A
glasses? Says the person wearing glasses.
A contract for power.
I mean, there's pictures of you without them.
A contract for power forged in blood.
Did it work?
The one called Swampy asked, her hood falling ever so slightly as if buffeted backward by an unnatural wind.
Maybe we said it wrong. Gil, are you sure pronunciation was right?
Autumn whispered in reply, voice gruff from chanting.
Well, it seemed right, but...
Gilgamesh, tome in hand, was cut off by a chilling cackle beyond the darkness, and it seemed to grow and shift independent of the illumination. It encroached upon the light, smothering it, even though the candle still burned. The unnatural darkness made the air thick and cold.
Your vowels were a little flat.
Wow, okay. An unfamiliar voice replied from the murk.
But I got the message.
The reply, although technically spoken out loud, seemed to vibrate within each pact maker. It sang within their veins, transmitted through their blood and bone, as the ritualistic slices in each person's palm sealed shut. The skin was unmarred, unbroken, flawless.
Your soul's for power, isn't that right?
The darkness lifted ever so slightly, revealing a tall shape just outside the candle's reach. Its dark, curly hair shined in the firelight.
I don't usually do this kind of thing, but who could say no to this many lightly used souls?
The demon, for that was what she was, laughed once more.
I'm sure I can find a use for you. We'll have so much time together, after all.
What do you mean?
Arun asked, stepping out of the dim light and closer to the summoned fiend.
How much time do we have?
The pact makers joined together in spilled blood, felt a weight pull at their minds, a presence, a shade, buried deep within their very thoughts.
An eternity.
The reply was spoken from each person's lips in tandem, actually.
Oh, just kidding.
All of you say it at the same time.
3, 2, 1. An eternity.
Eternity.
The reply was spoken from each person's lips in tandem. The demon's voice thrown into each body as if by a talented ventriloquist.
That's right, an eternity.
She confirmed, her cheer seeming to dispel some of the previous chill.
I'm new to this, though, so don't expect skill.
A long period passes 100 years later.
I'm PsycheSiren, therapist by day, streamer by night, but please don't expect skill. Never skill.
That's pretty good.
Oh! She's so pleased by that one.
I just realized I was muted for the eternity.
Who,
Oh, you were muted for eternity, yeah.
An eternity, yeah.
I'm just gonna print this out, put this one on the fridge. Someone was listening in when we made the contract.
I know, right? It's like she was there.
I know.
Pixie is a voyeur.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
Don't kink shame.
Pixie, thank you so much for posting that to the Discord.
It's
I'm gonna
absolutely
freaking
beautiful.
pin it. That was so.
It really was.
I'm
a
really
good one.
tempted to like have a one shot at Halloween, but like be the villain.
That can be arranged.
Gil, why did you speak so quickly? Have you been planning?
Listen, it's
Gil's got stuff planned out for Christmas next year. Don't
Oh,
worry about
no.
it.
Psyche, if there's just happens to be a shoe right in front of you that's the exact perfect size, it's not a hard conclusion to jump to.
It's not her shoe, but if the shoe fits.
Really, really well, surprisingly. Psyche.
Let's go, gamers.
Mina has
Did you say
Mina,
that?
Mina wrote a couple things, and she settled on she has the start of a very good little story. And this is like chapter 1 because we only had a week and there was some confusion as to things. But It's good. What she has is short, but she wanted you to read it, and I figured, why not? Because let's do it. So I'm just going to paste the whole text right into the general chat. You can just read it right there.
The Curse of the Drawing Pad. A horror story by Mina. Whilst investigating the death of a local YouTuber, a kind game designer called Mina uncovers a cursed drawing pad circulating throughout PsycheCon. As soon as anyone uses the pad, the person would end up dying a few days later. The doomed few appear to be ordinary people during day-to-day life, but when photographed, they look distorted. When you touch the person who has been cursed, they appear to feel like they are covered with fur, like a cat. Mina finally gets a hold of the drawing pad, refusing to believe the curse within it. A collage of images flash into her mind. A scary cat scratching the famous YouTuber, an old newspaper headline about a hit-and-run accident, another cat drinking red liquid from a bowl located in a scary place. When Mina notices her shoulder begins to have cat-like properties, she realizes the curse of the drawing pad is true. She calls in one of her friends, an artist called Nighty, to help. Night examines the drawing pad and willingly submits herself to the curse. She finds that the same visions flash before her very eyes. She sees the scary cat scratching on the YouTuber. She joins the search of stopping the curse. Mina and Night pursue a quest to uncover the meaning of the visions, starting with a search for the black and white cat. Will they be able to stop the curse before their time is up? Dun dun dun!
Okay, now I want more.
I know, right?
I know, right?
I know!
I want
Like
more.
I was, they were like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, no. We're
This is
going.
a great start. I want more.
I know.
More.
So we're saying we're having a sequel to FanFiction Night in the future?
No!
We always do.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
like,
Can
that's what
neither
I want.
confirm nor deny.
Next
Regular.
time, Fanfiction Night, 3,000 people. So there. It's gonna take a long time.
You said that about 1,000 and 2,000.
Listen, let me dream. Let me.
If you want long, wait, you're at 2,200 currently. 3,000 is closer than you think.
Anyway.
It's fine, Psyche. It'll be about 6 months, and then we'll do another one of these. It'll be great. It'll give the community time to prep more material. Community, start prepping material.
Oh yeah, I have a
6 months would be plenty of time.
So,
Just in time for Halloween, too.
I know, right? It's perfect.
No, 2.2 thousand.
I'm just gonna roll this dice for no parent. Ooh.
I'm gonna drink.
Oh. Everybody okay? We're all doing
No,
good? Okay.
I'm not
No.
okay.
No, I'm not okay. No.
Perfect. This will just make it better. So, who would like to volunteer to be the next?
Who hasn't read?
Who hasn't read anything?
That wants to.
Half a year.
Pineapple.
So, our beloved community member, LilHummie, has prepared something for you.
Oh, Hummy wrote this one?
Oh, this one was on the last fanfiction night, but LilHummie revised it. Oh, this one.
Oh, man. Okay. It is called Psyche, a tale told by LilHummie. The tale begins on Halloween night, where the streets are filled with terror and fright. A group of friends sat huddled in a school, attempting to remove the spirit of the ghoul. Now you may think this story isn't true, but there's no way a phantom shows out of the blue. But as witches high fly in the sky, I recount the tale of Psyche. Psyche sat tipping Psyche sat tap fuck me.
Slow down.
Is that
Slow
written
down.
in the
Start
fanfiction?
over. Start over. This is a great start. You got this. Come on, deep breath. You got this. And go.
Okay. Psyche sat, tapping her fingers on the desk, watching as the clock ticks on and on. When will this class ever end? She thought to herself. History was not much of a subject she enjoyed. As the teacher droned on and on about ancient Greece and whatnot, oh my god, I burped. That wasn't in the thing. A bang was heard from the ceiling. The teacher was silenced for a moment by the bang, but Psyche is curious. Miss, can I please go to the bathroom? Said Psyche as she made theories in her head about what the bang was. Yes, but be quick, said the teacher. Passing Psyche her hall pass. Hehehe, she fell for it, said Psyche in her head. In another classroom, Teeth heard this bang as well. While not as curious as Psyche, being the intellectual man that he is, he wanted to see if the building was in a stable state, so he also made an excuse to leave the class. Mr. Funk Frog, I have to take my cat Tony to the vet, Teeth said shakily as he thought Mr. Funk Frog would see through the lie. Okay, go ahead, said Mr. Funk Frog, believing Teeth's bait. Unknowingly, they were headed right towards each other. Bang! They collided in the hallway and had an awkward hello. Are you coming to see what the bang was too? Psyche whispered. Yeah, pretty spooky, Teeth replied. As they head up to the roof together, they spot another friend, Vineapple, crouched over a mysterious object that had crashed down and made a slight hole in the roof. Vineapple, what are you doing here? Psyche exclaimed. Checking out the bang? What do you think I'm doing? Vine replied. We came up here to check it out too, said Teeth, slightly shocked to see Vine up here too. They examined the object to see that it is a small amulet, its condition withered and smashed. They spot some small text engraved around the smashed glass. Because I can't read that. I think that's Russian. I don't know. Does anyone know what it says? Asked Vineapple. Psyche thinks back to her history lesson. Oh, it's Greek. Learning Greek over the past week. I think I know. Psyche rubbed it to make it a little more clear. It says, perish or prevail, Psyche said while shaking. As the words are muttered, the ground began to shake and a white fog rose out of the amulet. If the amulet is not repaired by midnight, this town will fall to my mighty wrath. The entity flew away, leaving the amulet to fall to the ground and smash even more. Does anyone know anyone who can fix this? Psyche said, still shocked and scared by the events that had just taken place. Principal South sat in his office, filing important paperwork as the group of friends bust through the door. What is the meaning of this rude entrance? He shouted as the gust of wind coming from the door knocked over all his paperwork. We figured out what crashed into the ceiling, exclaimed Vineapple. It was a magic cursed amulet, and we need to fix it before midnight, or he'll take all of us, Psyche said in a scared tone. Principal South responded with, this all sounds like a load of bull. Get out of my office and back to your classes. There's still 30 minutes before the end of the day, and you should be learning. Psyche said, still trying to persuade him. Please, Principal, we are serious. Out! South responded angrily. As the bell rings and classes fled out into the hallway, the three friends meet up and try to find anyone that can fix the amulet. As they find no one, they get less and less hopeful that they will be able to fix the amulet before midnight. As they are leaving the school, the janitor, Arun, pulls them into a room. I heard you talking about that amulet, Arun said in a quiet voice. Yeah, what about it? What do you know about it? Said Teeth. That amulet has been passed down for generations. It used to belong to my great-great-grandfather, passing it down at the end of each of their lives. But one of them broke the chain and was taken by the devil that inhabited that amulet. It was never seen again, and we never expected to see it, Arun said. So that's what the white thing coming out of it was, exclaimed Vine. That the thing in my amulet is my grandpa. He was the one who broke the chain, and as punishment, the devil trapped him inside the amulet, only to be freed when the amulet was broken. He was said to want revenge on the town for treating him wrongly his whole life. We call him Grandpa Autumn. Arun wrapped up the story with a sigh. We have never been able to find the amulet, and now that you have found it, we can't find a repairman. Vineapple thought hard, gasped, and said, I think I know someone who can help. They pull up outside the house of Ruth. Knowing she can repair lots of things, including helicopters, they hope she can fix this amulet. They approach the door, ring the doorbell, and Ruth hastily opens the door. "Hey, Vine, how's it going?" she asks politely. "It's going pretty well, except an evil grandpa is going to destroy the town if this amulet is not repaired by midnight," said Vineapple. "Well, that's not very good, is it? Let's take a look at it," Ruth said as she picked up the amulet. "Seems like an easy fix. I'll see what I can do," exclaimed Ruth. The rest of the group headed to the library, leaving Vineapple to accompany Ruth. As they entered, a book fell to the floor in front of them. To their shock, it was a book about the history of ancient heirlooms, which had to include the amulet. They skipped through pages and pages of the book, and finally found the amulet. After some reading, Psyche discovered the only way to fix the amulet was a ritual from the place it landed. Psyche checked her watch to see it was 10 p.m. Only 2 hours from then the town would be destroyed. Psyche called Vineapple to tell her the news, as they sped back to Ruth's house to pick them up and then go to school. School was locked, but luckily Arun had keys to the whole building, hurriedly jangling the keys into the hole and locking the door. They sped through the school, getting to the roof as fast as possible. They placed the amulet in the crash spot as Psyche read out instructions from the book. They start chanting the words from the book. "Stand as one and we will rise. The devil will meet his demise," as thunder starts cracking down and rain slashes around them. The spirit of Grandpa Autumn is coming closer and closer to the amulet. It was 11:50 p.m. Only 10 minutes to get him back to the amulet. A storm brewing in a circle around them, thunder crashing down even more. As the clock approaches midnight, Grandpa Autumn is finally sucked back into the amulet, and as it happens, the storm swirling around them instantly stops and returns to the dark night, stars filling the black sky. I think we did it," yelled Psyche. The amulet repaired itself on the ground as shards of glass fly back to place as they celebrate. "What do we do now then?" asked Vineapple. "Well, I guess we just go home," said Psyche. They all said their goodbyes and walked their separate ways back to their houses. Before Psyche could leave, Teeth approached her and said, "Hey, Psyche, I know we just had a crazy night, but tomorrow, if you're interested, I have this Chili's gift card." Psyche replied with, "Sure, it's a date. See you tomorrow." She turns around and walks off, leaving Teeth standing there with a happy smile on his face. Unbeknownst to them, the amulet started shaking behind them as it levitated up and flew away, almost as if dragged by an invisible force. The end.
Oh my god, you included the chili story!
I love that.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
That is my favorite thing.
We have some new followers who don't know this, but I've told the story of Teeth Whitener and I's first date, which was awful. he basically turned up to me, and he was in like we were in high school. He was 19, I was 21, and he'd never dated before.
High school.
Not high school, sorry. We just read Psyche High Japanese. We were in college. And
Get it right, young lady.
Listen, and Teeth Whitener came up to me, and he was like, "Hey, would you like to go to Chili's with me? I have a gift card from my parents." It's a different way.
Romance.
And like he was so flustered, and I was like, "Did this guy just tell me he has a gift card to Chili's from his parents?" But he was so flustered, I was like, "All right, okay." Oh my god, LilHummie, I love it so much. Oh man.
Doesn't everybody have kind of like that, you know, that terribly awful, not like the romance story kind of like meeting?
Oh yeah.
No, I don't.
Give it
But then again,
time.
I'm forever
Do you have one?
And Vine and Outburst, how did you guys meet?
Oh yeah.
How did we meet?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh god.
It's all you.
How was the first date asked?
How was the first date asked? Okay, so in Final Fantasy XIV,
It's really cute. I love this story.
there's an annual Valentine's Day event, and I wanted to. They're like items that you get, and there's basically like a maze that you go through, and it like tests how well you're compatible and stuff. And I wanted to do it because I wanted more items, and my friend wouldn't do it with me. Da 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 da. And I like voiced this, and Outburst was like, "I'll do it with you." And I was like, "Okay, sure." He speed runs the whole thing, is a jackass the entire time, and we get a near perfect score. And then we went and we did the God, what was it?
There's
They
like
had-
card reading, like
Yeah.
tarot card reading at
Yeah.
the end of it.
Yeah, and we scored perfectly on all of that. And then I was like, huh. You know what? This video game told me I'm pretty compatible with this guy. I think I'm gonna go for it. So there you go.
That was our first date.
Yeah,
Aw.
basically.
And
Super
then
cheap.
and then I met her like a few months later in real life.
In person.
In person.
And then I
took her.
burped.
She immediately burped, yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess
We
this
went
is
to
the girl I'm dating
Chick-fil-A.
now.
I burped in like within 5 minutes.
And then so at the end of the day, like we go shopping, and then I take her to a sushi restaurant because we both like sushi.
Oh, it was pouring rain.
And it's pouring rain, and I'm just like, and we're driving her mom's car, and then I was like, I hope you had a good day today, and then she goes like, yeah, it was great, one of the best days ever, and I'm like, well, I know it's been a long time, but I officially want to be like, your, and she immediately goes, yes, the answer is yes, and I'm like, oh, okay, and that was the end of that. Yeah.
Also, we didn't sleep in the same bed the entire time, and my mom was like, "Why weren't you guys sleeping in the same bed?" And I was like, "Mom, what the heck?"
Mom, get out of my room.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
I think
Get out of the car.
me and Swampy is cursed a little bit.
I
met
mean-
Swampy. She had a furry tail on.
Yeah, I did.
We were at a con. The first time I met her, she had a furry tail on, bright like turquoise. What do you call it?
No, it was like ice blue. I had ice blue hair.
And she came back to the hotel room I was in. I showed her Kazoo Kid and Doug Dimmadome dubstep remix memes. I showed her a bunch of meme videos, and that's it. That's how we met.
That's how we met.
You know, each one is very unique and says a lot about each company.
It says a lot about our society.
We live in a society.
We do.
You are all blessed in different cursed ways. You dang kids, I'll be back. I mean, what?
Hey Adam, how did you and Scrubs meet? Or your first date go?
How did we meet? Like how much do you want to go? It's a bit of a long story. The short version is we met in math class, and because college, and
Man, I
because
feel that.
college, and wanting to pass things, we sort of like formed a study group, with like me, her, and then one other person who
A study group.
is not really relevant to the story. And we studied for that math class we had together, and then after the math class, we started just having lunch once a week. And that continued for 3 years. And
What?
yeah, oh yeah, it was a slow burn.
Boy,
You
that's
gotta
not a
make
burn, that's a glow.
You gotta make them want it, really.
Ember.
There's
Autumn
a
was
lot of
playing hard to get.
And it kind of came to a point where like her friends were all sort of being like, hey, where's this going? Y'all are having lunch all the time. And my friends were like, hey, where's this going? You're having lunch with this girl.
Here
And,
you're eating together, you hoe.
and there was another girl that I was having like lunch with intermittently as well. And then one of my roommates.
Ooh, Autumn.
What?
Lunch with two
Don't
women
tell
at
her
once?
that.
Listen,
Oh,
listen, he wasn't committed to one lunch or the other.
It's like
man.
You
I
omit
took
that whenever
twins
you
to
read
prom.
Playboy out here. Grandpa's getting.
Jesus Christ.
Grandpa's
Damn,
crazy.
Not just any prom. I took twins to like homeschool prom. Like,
Oh.
yeah,
Wait a second, does that make him your
Oh,
sister?
I know what that is.
T-Boy was homeschooled too.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Oh.
I
Back in his day, things were different.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love prom. Love to go to one someday.
it yeah,
I'll
I
take
went
you
to
prom,
like
honey.
I went to like one
Oh,
of them. And,
okay.
yeah, I took those two, and then there were a couple. Anyway, no, we won't talk anymore about that. Long story short is one of my roommates basically the other girl in the picture, not Scrubs, was a vegan. Very nice girl, but vegan. And
That's what determined.
That's the line.
my roommate was in the kitchen cooking. Best man at my wedding, very good friend still to this day. And he turned to me, cooking bacon, and he just went, "Shannon will never cook you bacon." And I went, "Damn, you're right."
That is so, I feel that so viscerally as another guy. That is 100% accurate to like how guys act.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the next time me and I think it was the next time, or it was very soon afterwards. Me and Scrubs went out to a Mexican restaurant, and we sat down, and I was planning on having a nice dinner with her, and having a nice little date, and then afterwards sort of being like, "Hey, where do you want this to go?" And we sat down and ordered food, and she looked me dead in the face and went, "Where's this going?"
Yeah, Scrubs! Yeah!
So I defaulted to honesty, which was I would like to date and eventually marry you. And we both sort of had this like sigh of relief, and the food came, and we looked at it and we're like, we can't eat now, and like took it to go and went back to her parents' place and sort of just like hung out. So yeah, it was sweet.
Excuse me while I vomit from being single.
Just you wait.
Yeah.
Just you wait. Okay, Zodi would like hers read next. I
Yes.
hear.
Oh, Zodi had a.
Oh no. Oh
Zodi, I believe, requested you read this, Psyche.
Oh.
no. Oh, I'm scared. Okay.
Zodi has written what I would call a we'll just say Zodi broke the fourth wall correctly.
Oh no.
Oh no.
All right, here is ZodiacSiren's story. Everything was not as it seemed. Everything was her fantasy. A loving husband, a successful streaming career, 3 college degrees. Everything she had was all made up. Psyche is the nickname of a patient in a mental hospital. The other side of the line she wanted to be on. She has 2 physicians, Dr. Vineyard Applegate and Dr. Atuman Leaves. She used to have a roommate as well, but the only thing Psyche remembers about her was that Swampert was her favorite Pokemon. One night, the doctors and nurses heard screaming from Psyche's room. "She's gonna kill me! I'm not a fascist! I'm not the neighbor! She's gonna kill me!" As the nurses rushed in, all they found was Psyche against the wall, covered with blood, holding her hands close to her chest with a look of sheer horror. From that moment on, she was moved to solitary treatment. Even when she was alone, different members of her chat would change each week, from Risa to Lay, and now to Artemis. There were others as well. Once she'd made up stories to where some were lovers, and all were her friends. But none of them changed as often as Artemis did. The doctors and the nurses adore her so, but things only continue to get worse. I need to go call my mom. I need to drink
You
a
okay,
little more.
Vic?
I'm fine.
You killed me?
No! It's your fault for having a stupid Pokemon as a favorite.
I mean,
Swampert is not
I
stupid.
probably would have killed you first if you didn't kill
let's
me,
be real.
so.
Swampy would have
Yeah.
killed me first.
I probably said, I'm gonna kill you, and then you were like, oh, heck no.
Flashbacks to Secret Hitler.
Flashbacks to every single time where I said I was gonna murder you.
Every single game.
That was so good.
I honestly just want more of this.
I don't want more. Also, I love that she referenced Artemis changing her username.
That was super cool.
So this is I rolled for who was next, and we got Fangirl. Fangirls was the one that I read, and I went, I will approve this, but I won't read it.
Uh-oh.
Psyche had finished her grocery shopping and was on her way home, vaguely listening to the radio rambling on about two junkers running amok in various cities around the world, stealing all they could. She knew the world was crazy, but she was secretly rooting for the criminals since one of them had recently caught her eye. The blonde, skinny one, if she recalled, but she couldn't quite grasp at his name. The radio had been calling them Jameson and Mako for so long, and she finds her friends had forgotten their cute, self-given names, dumb as they were. Though the brunette was taken out of her thoughts when she heard police sirens coming up from behind her, following a motorcycle with a sidecar that barely missed her car on the left. She'd made eye contact with the passenger, the same guy she had just been thinking about. He had given her a wide grin and a wink before the larger man, driving, turned sharply. The cops followed close behind. It took a whole stoplight cycle for her to realize what just happened before shaking her head and heading home. Having arrived home and put away all the groceries, Psyche was relaxing, as it was one of her nights off from streaming. That was how she talked to most of her friends, but she knew a break was always needed. She was debating on taking a shower or making dinner first when she heard a rather loud motor outside, causing her to look out the window and seeing a pair from before. How they escaped the cops, she'd never know, as if it was something conveniently written from a horrible fanfiction. Come on, Rhodey! I'm sure the gal's somewhere in this neighborhood. The blonde grinned as he yelled. Maybe he had tinnitus from all those bombs, while the taller man simply slumped his shoulders in what seemed like defeat. Deciding it was better to split up, the former was fast approaching her door. Well, as fast as a peg-legged man could be. Before his robotic knuckle even touched her door, Psyche swung it open and caught the criminal by surprise. There was a moment of eye contact, hesitation very apparent on both their expressions, before she finally made a connection. You're HUNKRAT, right? She questioned. Granted, while it was a connection, it wasn't quite right. It's JUNKRAT, Sheila. He gave her as suave as a grin as he could, leaning his robo arm on the doorway since it had been hanging in the air for a few moments. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment before she spoke again. Sorry. I had been trying to remember your name since I saw you earlier. It's alright. He gave a giggle as she moved to the side, allowing him and his companion inside. Been called hell of a lot worse. One crazy story and a rather large dinner later, Psyche learned the sides of the story from both Junkrat and Roadhog before the later that rum really hit hard. Commandeered the living room to sleep in. He was much older than his partner in crime, so he decided to give him the full tour in case he needed to snack or water in the middle of the night. With everyone having gotten ready for bed and sleeping, Junkrat actually woke up thanks to his sadly usual nightmares. Even being a light sleeper, he still experienced night terrors and always needed something to do for a few hours before going back to sleep. He explored the house again, paying more attention to the details he missed before, until he got to Psyche's bedroom door. She was rather cute, since she was much shorter than him, and maybe he'd be able to talk about what happened. Only one way he could find out. He opened the door and walked in. Seeing her curled up on her blankets instantly melted his heart. As he tried to gently shake her to wake her up. Psyche! He cooed softly so he didn't wake her like his nightmare did to him. Psyche, come on! Nope. This meant she'd been stuck until he passed out again. And it didn't help that her bed looked so much softer than the floor in the living room. Deciding to lay down next to her, he naturally curled around her smaller frame and drifted off to sleep. She was glad he was able to get a nice, deep sleep for once. The end.
This is a perfect one for Swampy, isn't it?
So
it really
It's poetic, honestly.
Oh, man.
I severely underestimated the amount of wine I would need for tonight.
Yes, you did. I tried to warn you. So the next story I rolled for, Artemis started writing beginnings of sort of an epic little adventure. She didn't have time to finish it, but she has the start of it. So if you're all good with it, I'll read it out because it's handwritten.
Okay.
And photos, and that'll just be easier for me to read it. Our epic tale begins. They were searching for the four elements. The group of three were beside themselves, not knowing where their next meal or huge find would be. I think we should search the tallest mountain, said Vine. No, not there. Let's go into the deepest forest, says Vine. Rolls her eyes. Oh, come on now. All those are good ideas, but mine is better. The desert is where we can find any element, retorts Autumn. Okay, good idea, Autumn, remarked Vine. So the three gather up their belongings and begin to search. They traveled miles, maybe hundreds of miles. Who really knows? After 5 days, they reach the night desert. Let's all have a short rest, says Autumn. Who made you the leader, asked Funk. I did, says Vine. Let's not fight. We're all a huge happy family, responds Autumn. Facts. The little argument subsides, and they all rest for the night. Upon daylight, they see their surroundings. They suddenly realize that they have trespassed someone's land. Who disturbs my slumber? A voice shrieks. I should bury you all. Sorry, ma'am, Vine shakily says. A tall, slender woman with dark hair steps out of her desert hut. My name is PsycheSiren, and this is my land. And I don't appreciate being woken up. Our most humble apologies, Autumn says quickly. We are seekers searching for the earth gem. Psyche pulls her cloak back, revealing the brown shimmering gem attached to her necklace. You mean this heavy thing? She says. You can surely have it for a price. Join my commune, and it's a deal. Vine, Funk, and Autumn all glance at each other and nod in agreement. It's only official if you tell us where the other elemental gems are, says Autumn. Oh, okay, sighs Psyche. I'll call up my sister, and they will. After 2 hours, Psyche reappears. Well, I can only reach 2 out of the 3 sisters, says. They'll be here soon. I will make food. Within 45 minutes, Psyche's sisters start to arrive. Pale green unicorn trots briskly, carrying a short thin woman with a bow and an arrow of a crescent moon crown upon her head. In the center lays a blue elemental gem. A dark-haired woman is seen flying from the south, carrying a staff with a silvery elemental gem. The sisters all gather with their offerings in hopes of starting a commune. The end of chapter 1 of what I'm hoping will be a continuing epic. But yeah, that is Artemis' story. So yeah.
How did you find out? How did you? Who told you?
I know, right? We're getting so many like.
You are. I know one time you were like, "What if I was like a patron?" You are an eldritch being, Psyche.
No.
Yeah, you have warlocks.
You did a really good job, Artemis. I would like to hear more.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Good
of these.
Animal
things
Crossing
I want
clap.
to hear more.
I know. There were
Animal
some of them that
Crossing.
like people didn't have time to like. They only got chapter 1
Why
done.
is chat not showing up at all now?
This one, I will say that out of all of them, this one is the most blessed.
It was just another night, nothing out of the ordinary. The moon was full and high in the sky. All the kitties were fast asleep, and, other than the sounds of teeth whitener sleeping, there was not a sound in the room. Psyche sat at the edge of her bed with a smile on her face. Tonight was another successful stream. She stretched a little bit, then curled up in bed, with a smile still upon her face.
Read the cat
long do you think she'll be asleep for? Psyche could faintly
Is
hear.
that how you think Louis sounds?
Is that not how he sounds?
Oh
Probably.
my god.
She slowly opened her eyes and was not sure how to react as Louis was sitting on her chest staring down at her. She looked around the room and could not see a person anywhere. Where did he come from? Her attention was then grabbed by the sound of tapping on her window. She gently picked up Louis and placed him on the floor as she went to investigate the sound. Slowly, she glanced out the window and saw nothing, but she swore she could hear voices outside. Opening the window to try to hear voices better, she jumped back as a face flew up to her.
Swampy?
Psyche screamed. Swampy smiled a cheekish smile and hovered in the air before grabbing Psyche by the wrist and pulling her out the window. She brought Psyche to the roof, where a group of people were standing.
Guess who finally woke up?
Swampy exclaimed. 'Twas obvious that Psyche was not okay. First she was in her room, now she was on her roof. Swampy was flying, but people can't fly, you see. Everyone looked out and one woman walked over.
Swampy, you didn't have to freak her out, though.
Psyche recognized Vineapple's voice, but there was something off about her appearance. Upon looking closer around, she realized that there was something off about everyone's appearance.
Why?
Psyche managed to say after a bit of effort. Vineapple responded.
Why are you all dressed as magical girls?
Psyche screamed. She stared at all of her friends with eyes wide.
Swampy, Vineapple, Ruth, Artemis, Michi?
She looked at each individual, then caught sight of the men in magical girl dresses.
Even South Apple, Vincent, and Oddling?
Psyche's voice was so shaky by this point. South Apple smirked and said,
I'm fabulous.
More rum?
Is this some kind of prank? Why are all of you on my roof?
Psyche was not sure how to feel anymore. Was she going crazy?
This is not a prank, and we don't have much time.
Psyche heard a feminine tiny voice, but no one's mouth had moved. That was when she turned to see where everyone else was looking and caught herself staring at her cat, Stella.
Who said that?
Psyche asked. Stella's tail danced in the air.
I did.
It seems like the memory spell
Stop
effect.
it! I'm gonna come out there and slap you!
Off for her yet.
Michi said to Stella. Psyche looked at Michi, then to her cat, then to Vineapple.
Memory, what? Why is Michi talking to Stella, and why is her voice so manly?
Vineapple sighed, while Vineapple giggled.
Swampy giggle.
Stella called out to her owner. Psyche looked at her cat as she continued to speak.
I know you're confused, but we don't have much time. We need to help save the...
Stella can talk?
Psyche finally registered the event and felt like the world was turning upside down.
Stella's always been able to talk.
Oddling said. Psyche kneeled down to be closer to her cat.
Why didn't you tell me?
Stella put her paw on Psyche's mouth and stayed.
Focus!
Psyche stared at with wide eyes.
There is a monster that is trying to enslave the world, and tonight is the only night we can stop it. The Magical Girl Squad are the only ones who can stop it.
No, magical girl.
Psyche mumbled because Stella never moved her paw from her mouth. Still, everyone understood she said, that she was not a magical girl.
But you are, Mommy.
Psyche turned and saw. Oh, that's Louis.
But you are, Mommy.
Psyche turned and saw Louis prance over. He dropped a locket onto her lap and sat next to her, very proud of himself.
During our last battle, a demon cast a memory spell on you, so you would forget you were a magical girl.
I'm just Artemis explained it.
Will you help us?
Everyone gathered around Psyche. Who was Ruth? Ruth stayed.
Ruth is outburst.
And he's
We
also
need you.
Michi can do. Psyche looked around at everyone, then down to her cats. It was a lot to take in, but if what they are saying is true, that means the world is in danger. Psyche picked up the locket and nodded. As soon as she nodded in agreement, the locket began to glow along with her whole body. She felt like she was wrapped in a warm embrace, and the next thing she knew, she too was wearing a magical girl dress.
Let's go.
Stella said, and everyone nodded before glowy wings appeared behind everyone. They all took off to a city. Swampy held Psyche's hand as Psyche tried to figure out how the whole flying thing worked. Swampy looked at the guys.
You mean Psyche? So why do you wear dresses too?
Because we can't be magical girls unless we are wearing magical girl dresses, Psyche.
Right.
It was probably best to accept things right now, is what Psyche thought to herself. As they got close to the city, Psyche saw what looked like a giant Minecraft creeper, but its face had an ooh face on it, and devil horns on its head.
What the?
Psyche screamed. The group, not the demons, the group landed on top of a building, and Stella began to explain.
Infamous over creep. It always seems to escape from us. But not today. Today we must destroy it, or else it will enslave the world. But remember, it haunts, shoot magical beams, and if you get hit by it, you will be forced to speak in Uru until you lose your mind. Until you lose your mind and become a slave. I forgot my train of thought.
The what? Wait, it does what?
Psyche was having a hard time with all this now.
We will try to weaken it and distract it. Psyche, all you have to do is get close enough that you can touch it with your locket. As long as you can touch it with your locket, you will be able to seal it away.
Pineapple explained it as she grabbed Psyche by the shoulders.
Good luck!
Swampy says before she flies off.
You can do it.
Rue says before she follows. Michi picks up Stella and Louis.
I'll keep them safe.
She smiled before flying away. Everyone flew away, I guess is the proper past tense, leaving Psyche alone as they begin fighting the creature. She watches her friends in disbelief as they fly through the air and use magic and weapons to injure the creature. Everything felt so unreal, but everyone was trying so hard. Psyche clutches onto her locket and nods. She knows what she has to do. She jumped off the building and begins flying towards the creature.
I just have to touch it.
She thinks to herself. But once she got close enough, it turned its face and looked right at her. She let out a scream and saw a beam fly towards her. Out of reflex, she closed her eyes and braced for impact. After a few seconds, not quite, she realized that she was not hit, nor did she feel like speaking in uwu speech. Slowly, she opened her eyes to see she was in the arms of who she recognized as Tita Whitener.
Oh my god.
Her eyes widened as she realized it was really him, and he was dressed in a tuxedo with a top hat and a cape.
Teeth?
He smiled at her as Tony appeared on his shoulder. Hi, Mommy.
Don't give Tony such a deep voice!
That's so accurate. That's so accurate.
Hello, Mother.
Everyone says they want their pets to talk until this happens.
Hello, mother. I know exactly what mine would sound like.
Tony had a tuxedo vest and a hat as well.
Tony talks too?
Psyche should probably not have been surprised by this point. But it's such a chaotic night that she honestly didn't know what life was anymore. Tita Whitener put Psyche down on the roof.
Thanks, honey.
Psyche says before Teeth runs to the edge of the building. My job here is done!
Don't give that voice! Freaking!
Oh my god.
You don't sound like that!
That's what Teeth sounds like.
My job here is done. Glorious.
Psyche watched it in disbelief, but she had no time to panic as she heard Oddling scream,
No, Vincent!
Jesus Christ.
Oh no! I've been hit by the woo! Vincent cried out as he clutched onto his head.
Vincent, I'm so
Psyche,
sorry.
look
We
it
know you
over.
don't sound like that.
Psyche looked over and noticed Swampy and Artemis were also. Michi was jumping building to building, trying to avoid the beam. Ruth, Pineapple, and South Apple were doing damage, but it was too hard to see how much and for how long they could be kept up. They could keep it up. It was now or never. She held tightly onto her locket and rushed into the creature. It would shoot beams at her, but she somehow managed to dodge and stumble over. A beam started to fly right towards her, about to hit, but Ruth flew in front of her and took the hit.
Go, Psyche.
She screamed before clutching onto her head.
Ruth!
Psyche reached out to her friend, but felt a hand around her wrist.
There's no time!
Pineapple yelled and pulled Psyche forward. They ran as fast as they could towards the creature.
Oh, Psyche! Time to play!
Psyche called out in "Ooh" as she was flying towards them.
Swampy, no! Don't you freaking back off.
Psyche screamed.
Darn it, it's got them under their control now.
Psyche practically threw Psyche forward, and before launching into the air to stop Swampy from getting to Psyche,
Go!
Psyche nodded and started flying to get to the creature. She could hear Vincent calling her name in "ooh," but when she looked over her shoulder, she saw Oddling lasso him and pulled him away. The cars around her began flying up into the air, and she looked up to see South Apple fling them at the monster's face with his magic. Psyche was getting close when she suddenly hears. I don't know who the. I'll just be both of them. She stops flying and sees Ruth and Artemis approaching her. She hesitates and looked at them, and then to the creature, then back to them. As Psyche reached out and was about to grab Psyche, as Artemis reached out and was about to grab Psyche, a bubble appeared around both Artemis and Ruth. They began hitting the bubble. Psyche! Well, in unison.
Psyche.
Psyche! Psyche!
Help
us!
And this is just Michi.
Oh, okay.
Psyche, hurry.
Michi cried out. Psyche looked up to see Michi holding the cats in one arm, while her other hand was pointed at Ruth and Artemis, glowing. She realizing the bubble was Michi's magic. She looked behind her to see everyone desperately trying to protect her. Psyche nodded, and rushed into the creature, holding out her locket.
No more uwu!
She screamed as the locket touched, and the bright light erupted out like an explosion of power. After a few minutes, light vanished, and those who were mind-controlled began to return to their senses. Psyche stood in disbelief as everyone cheered and rushed towards her in celebration. Maybe it was because they had won that she could finally relax. Maybe it was because everything finally caught up to her. Or maybe it was just all too much by this point. Psyche felt it lightheaded and exhausted. The last thing she heard was everyone screaming, Psyche!
Psyche! Psyche! Psyche!
I'm gonna have nightmares now.
Psyche.
As she lost consciousness, Psyche could hear meowing and grumbling. She slowly opened her eyes to see Teeth Whitener making his way to the bathroom, and she was back in bed. Sitting up, she glanced around her thinking about everything that happened. That was some dream. She looked at Stella, who jumped onto the bed and began to pet her. While her attention was on Stella, she did not notice Louis hiding a locket away in the room.
Ooh.
That was really good, actually.
Michi, that was amazing. Oh my god. Michi, you did such a good job. I'm
Claps
sorry.
and snaps.
I'm sorry Teeth Whitener made your voice so manly.
That wasn't Teeth Whitener. That was Outburst.
Oh, that was Outburst. That's right. Vincent's the one I'm apologizing for Teeth Whitener because I don't know what that voice was.
So I guess you're still working on the wine, so we move on to Costco submission then.
For those of you who don't know, Costco, back when we had like 200 followers, Costco submitted this, and it was the most cursed thing we had ever read.
That was for the first fanfiction.
Still will
That
be.
was the first fanfiction, and apparently Costco decided for this one he would revamp it and up it a lot.
Wait,
so
revamp or is it a sequel?
I don't know.
Super hot and sexy.
I read this.
Okay.
I read this. I had to experience this.
Oh, no.
And therefore, I feel like really the rest of you should too.
Am I
But
still-
mostly, this should be South Apple and Outburst, since you are key
The two
figures here.
people that have to read this.
Frog has used lightning as an excuse to escape, which is kind of fair.
Yeah, we can't argue with that.
Lightning,
Guys,
quote
wow.
unquote.
Yeah.
Okay, are we all prepared emotionally and mentally?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
One morning, Frog was eating some frozen waffles for breakfast when suddenly South came in and asked Frog.
Hey, let me get some waffles.
As he goes to grab one, Frog grabs his hands and says,
Lego me ego.
As they stare at each other, they notice Outburst entering the room. He grabs some breakfast and leaves without saying a thing. Once they finish fighting over the waffles, South says,
Hey, didn't Outburst seem a little off? Yeah, something happened on Final Fantasy XIV, so he's kinda mad.
Frog says,
As Outburst's friends, we need to cheer him up.
South yells while eating Frog's last waffle. They go to Frog's room to come up with an idea to cheer him up. Then suddenly Frog stands up and goes to his closet. He pulls out a pair of maid outfits.
I hate this already.
I mean, your subconscious created it. Frog says they put on the maid outfits and they go to the kitchen and start cooking. As Outburst opens the door, he sees Frog and South standing in the doorway. While striking a pose, they both say in sync,
I can't do this in sync, I'm just gonna pick my voice. Welcome home,
Welcome home,
Outburst. Would you like dinner, a bath, or perhaps one of us?
Oh no.
Outburst slams the door closed and starts to walk away. But before he could, Frog and South grab him and knock him out. Soon Outburst wakes up and notices that he's tied to a chair and says,
Really? This again?
Suddenly, the lights turn on, and he sees Frog and South striking another pose in the maid outfits, this time with cat ears. Then they both put on. They both put a plate on the table in front of Outburst. One of these plates has omurice with an ooh face on it, and the other has some sort of barbecue chicken wings. Outburst noticed that there is a Hooters box in the garbage. Then Frog and South start forcing food down Outburst's throat. Then suddenly, Keith and Psyche walk in and see Frog and South feeding Outburst in maid outfits in a pair of cat ears.
Just cat ears.
Well, I'm out.
She says and walks out along with Psyche. Frog whispers in Outburst's ears.
There is no escape.
Mouthful of food, Outburst passes out due to shock. As soon Outburst wakes up.
I don't feel so good.
Lucky you're in the right place.
They say in unison.
Oh, God, no.
They both burst into the room wearing a nurse's outfit.
Please stop,
says Outburst.
No.
They said,
We will get you back into tip-top shape. But first we need to take some tests.
Nope. I'm done. I'm leaving.
Says Outburst as he begins to leave.
There is no escape.
Says Frog as they handcuff him to the bed.
I don't like this. Get the tool ready, South. On it. We will rebuild him better, faster, and stronger.
Frog says as he prepares the tools. Outburst struggles to break the handcuffs. Frog and South prepare to heal him.
Hold up, where are we? Oh, that's you.
I'm sorry. Hold up. Where are we?
Asks Outburst.
A school.
Replies Frog.
Why and how?
Don't ask. Anyway, it is time to take your temperature.
Frog says while grabbing a thermometer.
Okay, fine.
Outburst says as he opens his mouth.
This thermometer doesn't go in your mouth, Outburst.
What do you mean? Like, that's an accident. What do you mean? What?
Says Outburst.
It goes up your, well, you know.
No.
Wait,
That's it. I'm done.
Calm down, Outburst. We need to take your temperature.
Frog exclaims.
Nope. I am done. Get off of me.
Outburst screams as he struggles. Then during the struggle, Outburst manages to get knocked out. A few hours later, Outburst wakes up from being knocked out during the medical exam to find a note on his chest.
Ugh. Damn it. Me head.
He proclaims.
What's this?
British now.
He says as he picks up the letter. It reads,
Outburst, when you wake up, come to the roof of the school. Frog and South.
As Outburst goes up the stairs and wonders what's going on, he gets to the roof of the school. As soon as he sees both of them standing there in schoolgirl outfits, he turns around and angrily walks away.
Outburst, don't leave!
Frog and South.
Outburst, we love you!
They both proclaim loudly.
Nope, I am done. This is bull!
Outburst yells angrily.
Love you!
I just hold it. Sorry.
Nope, you got to draw the line somewhere. You got to line it.
Line it.
Then sand it. You got to make a statement and you got to look inside yourself and ask yourself, what am I not fucking this. Not effing this. Like, no.
Yells Outburst as he walks home angrily.
Hey, Frog. Yeah? I think we made him mad. He's gonna be madder when he finds out that we stole his car to get here.
Oh my god.
And with that, nothing was resolved in the end, so...
Y'all can drive stick?
Apparently.
Oh, I sure as hell can.
Oh, yeah.
The frog might.
Welcome to Brokeback Japanese High School.
I warned you.
Ooh.
I want to know how that made it through, Autumn. I want to know.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it's a very, very, very selective process of
How much money does Autumn pay?
Oh my god,
Straight rum is not good.
oh my god.
It was fine. There's minimal cursing and nothing actually happens on screen.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
the last one was
Stop.
worse than this, so.
I'm letting you
It's just
guys know.
implied that they take his temperature.
I'm letting you guys know. Half of that was not actually acting. That was me actually reacting.
Saying no, God, no.
I can only hope that your mom got to listen to all.
That is a sign of a well-made fanfic.
You'll understand.
Swampy wrote something
Super special and really
Heartfelt.
deep,
Yeah,
very
it's
heartfelt, deep in my bowels.
I actually proofread it. It was pretty good.
yeah, it's wholesome.
We're trying to tell you.
Like full
Is that WHOLESOME or HOLESOME?
We don't know how to spell teeth whitener.
Well, it's really hard to differentiate.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
actually
yeah.
SPLEEN.
I'm ready. I'm ready for
All right.
Swampy's fanfiction. This one was submitted by Swampy.
Oh God! This is so bad.
I hate you. I hate you from the bottom of my heart.
I had to read that.
It makes me want to throw up.
This is by Swampy.
Read it.
The best of friends, a tale of two friends. The day that PsycheSiren met Swampy was a day of great importance, as they would be best friends for a very long time. Before Psyche met Swampy, she was horribly lost and had no idea how to make any friends. Thankfully, for who the amazing, perfect, flawless, beautiful, strong, cowling, brave, perfect, again, and immortal Swampy was there to save poor Psyche. Oh, woe is me, said PsycheSiren one day. I just have no idea how to talk to anyone or be a cool kid. She sat at the lunch table in the cafeteria, moping in the corner like a nerd. Sigh, she said, dejected, when suddenly a bright and beautiful light shined down on her from above. She had to cover her eyes from going completely blind. However, once her eyes adjusted to the beautiful blinding light, she was met with a stunning sight. There, standing before her, was none other than that pop star, world-renowned surgeon and school president, Swampy. Well, said Swampy, looking at the sight before her. There was a small and pathetic, but intelligent and maybe humorous looking girl in front of who. Y'all, it's so hard to read this typing. Now, Maui, once was the only time Swampy got alone from her massive fan base and constant responsibilities. Nobody likes sitting in the corner of the room. She must be new, Swampy thought to herself. Hey, said Swampy, the words came out like butter, and PsycheSiren couldn't help but be amazing at the review of Peru coolness. Hey, said Psyche. I'm sorry, is this your spot? She asked timidly. Don't worry about it, you must be the new kid. I'm Swampy. Swampy, the pop star, world-renowned surgeon and school president. That's Swampy, Psyche asked, completely astonished at how cool Swampy was, yet how approachable and relatable as Wiru. Could this really be her? The very same, said Swampy, with a slight smile. It's nice to meet you, she paused, not knowing the name. Oh, well, my name is PsycheSiren, she said, stammering in her words from pure shyness. It's nice to meet you. Oh, hey, there, PsycheSiren. Can I call you Psyche? Swampy asked, but didn't wait for a response. Hey, how about we be friends? It seems like you could use a super cool and relatable friend like me. What? Really? Psyche said, astounded. Heck yeah, best friends from here on out. And that's the story on how PsycheSiren met the coolest, bestest friend she ever had. I hate you. I hate you. You touched
art.
This was an
Absolute
experience.
art.
this whole friggin'
Oh, I used a translator.
You
I used a
friggin'
Last minute.
my mouth hurts. Oh, God. I can't believe you typed this whole thing.
Absolutely beautiful.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay. So now what
So-
we have to do as staff is we have to vote on
Destroy
our
this.
top
Oh wait,
three.
we have to vote on these. Oh no, I forgot.
And we
We
can do
need
it
to do
just
it-
in our little Discord chat. We can just do a little mini straw poll.
Oh, do we?
And I
You
know.
vote for your top 3.
Oh
Top
yeah,
three.
just everyone write your top 3.
all right, you kiddos, come to my straw poll and vote.
How many do
Oh,
we vote?
Okay,
I got you for that long.
pick
Pick
3.
3. I need to vote on this
Pick
too.
we.
Which is really hard.
We.
because we're
If
good.
you submitted a fan fiction about stream, hang around because we're voting on who 3 of you gets a Steam gift
What are
card.
we
Did
voting on
anyone
the
else
basis of?
write in here?
Oh, here we
Okay,
go.
if I've done the math right, the votes that didn't go in actually don't change the numbers. Double checks math. Yeah. So, our top 3 are, or do you want to read this, Psyche?
Yeah, I can read it. Here are the 3 winners who will be getting a Steam card. First place, Michi with Magical Girls. Yay, Michi!
Yay, Michi! Should have gotten a reverse order, but yay, Michi!
And tied for second place, Manic Pixie Girls, The Summoning, and Swampy's Uwu.
I am so sorry, Pixie. I was waiting to be the last out of all of the votes.
So, those are our 3 winners. We will be sending you Steam gift cards. Make sure you add me on Steam.
We had a lot of really good,
We had a
And
lot of good entries.
I want to know who voted for
Yeah.
Costco. There's 3 votes on there. I want to know.
Costco,
we
yours is
all
red,
know,
Swampy.
we all love Curse.
I want to know the names.
I'm wondering who put Costco's FrogXSouthXOutburst because there's 3 votes on there, and
That's what I'm saying. Who did it?
Frog South and Frog
Those are
South
the
and
3 that
Outburst.
voted on it.
Frog South and
I
Outback
wish there was a way for
That's
us
takeout.
to. You know what I'm gonna do? For everyone that participated, I'm going to give you mentally, because Twitch won't let me give them out. I'm going to give you 10,000 pairs. Do with it as you want, everyone that entered. Just let me know, hey, I'm using my voucher for 10,000.
Spin the wheel.
What happened when
Including the people that won. Everyone who participated gets 10,000. Costco says, you know what, Gil? I'm going to make a Gilgamesh/Toothboy fanfic just for you.
Oh, God. Yes. You can't write anything that hasn't happened.
I'll read it. I'll vet it. I'll pass it.
Tuesday podcast just got a whole lot steamier, chat.
Oh, yeah. Make it about Game of Thrones Season 8.
Slaps table.
Teeth turns to Gil and says, I don't want it.
Who's my queen?
But I'm your aunt.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
It's okay. You're not siblings, at least. This time.
Swampy, you're supposed to say no to this freaking...
Listen, unlike a Dothraki charge in the night, I'm not going to end too soon.
God, they were all so well done. Even the cursed ones.
They were all really good.
Especially the cursed ones.
They were so well done. It was incredible.
I don't see
This was
LilHummie
super
on
good.
right now, so
Yeah,
we'll
Hummy
have to-
isn't on right now.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
so
we'll
I'm
put
just
that in
gonna,
the staff chat.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Probably 3 months, right? Everybody
6.
think
Yeah.
6 months max? Okay.
Yeah, I need
Yeah.
half a year.
I'll give you enough time to prepare my stage play.
So
The next one will be around Halloween, let's say.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, we could do like a creepypasta one.
But that's
Oh.
kind of the
Oh.
point. Yeah.
hell yeah.
Start writing now, chat.
Start writing now. Give us novels.
All right, everyone. Say goodbye to the lovely followers, members of our community,
Goodbye, lovely followers and members of our community.
who have put us
Goodbye,
through
lovely
this
followers.
tonight.
Goodbye, lovely
Bye.
followers and members of our community.
Just what they said.
Pits, frickin'.
One.
It's what you said to say.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
Literal, I swear. Oh my Lanza, y'all. I can't. I am dead in my soul. Dead everywhere. Death around me. Thank you so much for participating in our second ever fanfiction night. If it's already like this at the second one, I really don't know how the third one is gonna go. I really don't. Shout out to our lovely staff, y'all. They, as much crap as I give them, they put in so much work into this. Special shout out to Vineapple and Autumn for looking through things and subjecting themselves to torture. And I guess special shout out to Swampy for making me hate that I could ever talk and read. Congratulations to our winners. And remember, if you're a participant, we're giving you 10,000 channel points. Thank you so much for being part of this amazing Blurst community. Here's to 1,000 more. And I'll see you tomorrow.